What's the big idea?
So on.
It's already live. So
Okay.
hold that thought.
Yeah.
Hold that inappropriate thought.
Yeah, until next episode.
Until next time. Episode 56.
Wow.
Maybe?
Really?
Is it 56?
I'm losing count now.
I think it is 56.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang, I was gonna. No, yeah, you're right. Well, I was gonna guess 55.
That's a really good guess. But it's actually 56, I think. Because 55, I think. Remember I made the double nickel reference, I think, last time, didn't I?
Oh, I
Don't listen?
I tuned it out.
Yeah, once it's over, it's done.
The first introduction, like the 2 minutes where you ramble.
Yeah.
I'm just not here.
You think I ramble?
Well, no. You do your sweet sing-song introduction and talk about yourself and your hair and
Okay, see, I never thought I was a
good
rambler.
you look and then I tune in and I'm like, okay, and then we talk about volleyball.
Oh, okay. See, I never thought I rambled.
Oh,
There was I remember there was this one time where I thought I was rambling, and some guy told me that, hey, you're a bit of a rambler. And I was like, rambler? I hope you mean gambler. And then...
I'm gonna go down this road, man. He knew it as soon as you said ramble twice in a row.
God.
I was like, he's gonna go.
I know, I had a joke.
That's
That's like my
I know
favorite.
you too well. I don't like this. We need.
Did you? Were you ever at the school when I made my athletic banquet speech? That was my famous athletic banquet speech where every year I'd come up and I'd say like, I know, we got a lot of awards to get through tonight, so I'll be brief, So okay, what is sport? And then I'd go through this and then I'd just keep going with it way too long. Or it's like I had to do a prom speech once, and I sat.
So you're doing comedy.
I use it as an opportunity for amateur comedy night. So at the prom speech, I just
had a blast as a teacher. What were you, like 28 when you started, or 26?
Oh no, I was 22 when I started.
Oh my goodness.
I know. No, but I did the prom speech one year, and I was like, I just recited the song from Green Day's Good Riddance.
Oh yeah.
I said, another turning point. A fork stuck in the road. And then people started laughing. I looked around and I go, time grabs you by the wrist and directs you where to go. I did it way too long. But anyway, so today's topic, because that's what people are really here for. That's why they're here.
Yes.
Today's topic is when you are afraid to talk to your coach.
You almost sang that.
Did I?
Yeah, you looked like you wanted to sing it. Yeah.
Want me to?
Yeah.
Okay. Like what? Like that topic?
Yeah.
No, that's too loud for people, right? That's like...
What voice are you going with?
I was like going with like a Joe Cocker.
Yeah.
Not really. More Bob Seger, I think.
Yeah, I could see the Seeger. Yeah.
When you...
Yeah, Seeger. No. Yeah.
Working out. No. Anyway, stop it. This is stupid. Okay, so when you're afraid... Yeah. I was going to say working on the night train. I don't know why. Anyway, when you're afraid to talk to your coach. That's the thing. Comedy aside. That's it, Eric. Can't do these jokes for free anymore.
All jokes aside, now we're getting serious.
Yeah. So this is a problem. So we see this in a few different ways, right? We see this online. A lot of people who listen to this show might post things in volleyball groups, and there's a real negative thing about people posting anonymously in these groups, and I kind of hate it because I know exactly why people are posting anonymously, and the people who crap on it, they take this whole like attitude of, oh, you're not brave enough to put your name next to your complaint, and that's the way they talk. And you're not brave enough, and these people are like, no, we're just terrified of retribution or like fallout.
Yeah.
And then there's also the in-person one where a player is terrified to talk to their coach, right? Like where they have no relationship with the coach, there's no communication channels.
Yeah.
And then there's the one where the parent feels like, my child is still young, and yes, I want my child to advocate for themselves, but they are a child and this is an adult, and but I'm afraid if I talk to the coach, or the kid's terrified that if the parent says something to the coach, are you yawning? Well, are you trying to hide a yawn? Just because you close your mouth, okay? If your nostrils open 4 inches, I know either you're yawning or you're going to sneeze out a cat.
That was tough to hold in.
That was
it's like, don't do that. It's like holding a
camera.
sneeze.
If you're not interested in me, then just leave, okay?
No, I'm great. It's good.
A little sensitive.
Decaf.
A little sensitive these days.
Man, I got it. Yeah.
A little sensitive. Anyway.
Okay. Anyway, as you were sing-songing.
So, and then the parent is terrified because they might want to speak to the coach. Maybe they're intimidated by the coach, but more importantly, their kid is like begging them don't. So it's just a weird situation and problem.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good one to talk about for parents and players and even coaches themselves to understand, like, you might have players who are afraid to talk to you. And are you doing the right things to make sure that's not the case? A lot of coaches are afraid to open up those avenues. Mm-hmm. But they end up creating more problems for themselves, I think, when they don't. It's actually one of those things where you think you're doing yourself a favor by not doing it, but you're actually maybe creating more problems. So what are your early thoughts, Eric? Now that you're awake.
Early thoughts are, I actually think I see a lot of parents who are talking, and perhaps they're taking up, just like kind of like in our online world, all of the dialogue, right? And then the players who are too afraid are kind of forgotten about because the coach is so consumed with these parents of just 4 individual athletes or 4 or 3 or just 2 or whatever.
Yep.
And then that can be a lot of, I mean, it can be a lot for the coach to handle, and they can kind of get overwhelmed by that. And then again, the more they open that avenue, and depending on how they're interacting with certain parents, like the parent's just going to keep coming back to them more and more. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right. So now it's like you've opened this door, and then it's just like now they're coming at you with like stupid stuff, or you know what I mean? Like not stupid stuff, but just
like stuff that doesn't matter, or like
stuff that doesn't matter. It's waste your time, right? It's kind of and now they think they have an in with you and all this other stuff. So I know that the opposite is true. I've definitely seen that.
Yeah.
It starts like early on in the like preseason. It starts. They're talking about, hey, like, yeah, like say they want to play at this team, but they only want to play there. Oh, what are you doing for recruiting? Are you getting other players? Are you getting a setter? Are you getting a libero?
Right.
Like, what do our middles look like? Or what is this? Or blah, blah, like who your other coaches? So it's none of their business.
Yeah.
Some of it is. And some of it is. And for sure the coach should share or can share if they want to. And it just needs to be done one time, and then the coach should. But
it is a little bit too much information. Like everybody wants, like the minute you open it up, then they want more and more.
Yeah,
and like more and more info.
Yeah, like a weekly update, like a day. Like this is, I know a few coaches who they're almost too nice in a way.
Yeah,
and they have to deal with stuff like this. At least they're faulting on the right side, I think, which is where they are making themselves approachable, which is great. And then, but in doing so, they then end up taking on like this burden of, texting for like 2 hours to like some parent, or emails and all this stuff.
So that's the problem with being too agreeable or too open.
Yeah.
Then you do invite the parent who will abuse that.
Yeah.
By the way, Eric, our on-air sign.
Is it off?
It's not. Well, it's not there. It's not visible.
Oh, is it always? I didn't move it.
No, I know. Should we? But all these episodes, should we move it down? You want to swap it with that thing down there?
Sure.
No, I'll get you. We'll videotape you. We'll record you doing this. Videotape. That's funny. I'll just leave that. Oh, you're gonna. Oh, okay, you can do that. That was a weird choice. Okay. Oh, you're gonna break up. Okay. I see what you did there. I like it. Like a sandwich.
Yeah, like a on-air volleyball sandwich.
Sorry, in case you're just listening to this, Eric is adjusting. He's redecorating the shelves behind him so that the on-air sign that we spent about $12 on, it's not free. We want that to be visible, and now so he's done it. It's kind of bugging me because he separated the volleyballs, and I don't know.
You don't like it, so you'd rather it down.
I don't know. I thought maybe that you would do that, yeah, and then that way the volleyballs are kind of like together where they belong.
So if you wanted it a specific way, you should have just.
Well, I don't want to be a control freak.
Oh, right.
I'm trying to.
So then you just get really uncomfortable when.
Yeah.
You let people do it their own way.
Yeah, what I do is I let you do it and then you fail.
It's kind of like with your employees, right? You're like, hey, go do this.
Can we just?
Yeah.
I don't have any employees. I have contractors.
Oh,
and
right.
Can you shove it like towards the wall a little bit? Like, there you go. Right there. Oh, not so much. Just like centered, like. Yeah, there you go.
We've just lost all of
I
listeners.
know. I'm sorry, folks.
And watchers. Listeners and watchers? Do we call them watchers?
Viewers.
Viewers.
Voyeurs? YouTuber. YouTube. Anyway, so you were saying that...
Yes.
I think I'll have to do a crap ton of editing. No, I won't. You were saying that the coaches that can open the door, the risk is that they'll get bothered with sort of frivolous, over-the-top requests, and that's why they're concerned. I think also coaches feel like...
Probably a better situation to be in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's... I think that we talked about this before too. A great way for a coach to avoid all that is to maybe do that preseason meeting where you sort of set things up on the line and everybody agrees to the actions, the consequences, the rules, while there's no passion. You know what I mean? That's a really key thing. Because if you try to implement a rule or talk about a rule while the emotions are running high, then people lose their cool. But in a room where we're all talking about it preemptively, it works really well. And a coach who like talks about communication with the coach, that could be something that I think every realistic parent would have, in a setting like that, it might be a little bit more easily established that. So here, what is acceptable communication? Are you going to message me every day? Do you want me to give you a monthly update? Do you want me to, I'm very open and honest, so you can come and talk to me anytime you want to a point, like that sort of discussion, obviously. A lot of people have these rules too that they set up about playing time. We don't talk about playing time. That to me is a bit of a red flag.
It's like an ultimatum.
It's not really. I don't think ultimatum is the right word.
Oh,
an ultimatum is like if you.
Oh, you do this, then this happens.
Or like if you do this, then this. It's like
there's always a consequence. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's an ultimatum.
I just thought an ultimatum was like
no. It's almost like
I'm saying this, and this is now policy, and this is.
I said like if you step one foot closer, I'll shoot. That's
that's an ultimatum.
That's an ultimatum, yeah. Oh. Or I'll it doesn't have to be. Death.
I just like the word. I don't
ultimatum,
get to use it that often because I don't threaten people with
guns. It sounds like it has to do with like the perfect tomato. I don't know the ultimatum, ultimato, the ultimate. You know what I mean? Every time. Anyway, we're losing so many people. Anyway, so sorry. You gonna go on about the word?
Yeah. Well, no. I'm not going to talk about the tomato or the ultimatum, but I have more to add. I think in particular, some coaches that maybe also very talkative with and open with channels is that they also do it in the interest because they are trying to form good teams, right? So they have a reason to kind of keep coming back and continue the dialogue because they're worried about losing that player. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, and I think that a lot of this goes on in the right before signing and all this stuff, right? And those, that can be like a 2-month period or a month and a half.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's like, and then it gets be busier and busier all the way up until that day where the team's finally established, right? So there's a lot of, it's roster forming.
Yeah.
Right. It's busy, it's hectic. And unfortunately, all of that falls on the coach, the club coach. And depending on what club they're at, they're probably not making a lot of money doing it.
Yeah.
They're just doing it as coaches, they want to have a good team.
Yeah.
Right. They want to coach the best athletes. So they're doing it out of their own interest.
Let's not get into their motives. I think a lot of coaches are doing it for the ego, which we could talk about later too. But a lot of coaches in theory are doing it for the love of the game. In theory, because they love the sport. We hope, which is a topic I wanted to get into in another episode for sure. But are you doing this for the love of the game or are you doing this for your love of your ego?
Right.
Because I know for a fact that...
Do they blend those? Yeah, we'll have to do a separate one on that.
Yeah, it's a big one. Yeah.
But that to me, I can see as being the big reason why coaches would be so communicative, right? Constantly.
Yes.
Right?
And I think if they have good logic, I think coaches that have good reasons other than just they said so tend to have better communication. Every coach I know and every coach, even when I coached, I would always keep an open door because I knew I had the why.
Yeah.
Versus the coaches I've known who haven't had open doors are the ones who don't have good logic behind their answers. So that's sort of the crux of this show, I think, is that if you are a coach who is afraid of the it came up in the last episode too. If you're afraid of the confrontation and you can't answer it logically, then you're hiding behind a policy that probably isn't rooted in logic. It might be rooted in power, insecurity, ego. And it's very difficult for coaches to have this discussion with themselves. It's almost impossible depending on your life history and who you are. But if you're not able to open the door to communicate with parents and players, then there's a reason for that.
And then, if they know they don't have the answer why, they may unknowingly or knowingly develop a persona that is somewhat intimidating, right? To discourage any, hey, don't come and question me.
It's not a good area, I think, to be in as a coach, because you are a teacher, right? Like Hugh McCutcheon talks about. You are.
I like when you use that word.
Yeah,
that really stuck with me, and that's it's really stuck with me now.
It's affecting your coaching.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's a real problem, I think, when coaches set up this air of like, my way or the highway. I don't think it's kind of outdated. I think it's rooted in another thing Hugh talks about, the way we were coached. So we tend to coach like we were coached, just like we parent the way we were parent, or we teach the way we were taught. You know what I mean? It's very interesting. That cycle just keeps going.
Like the default mode.
Yeah. And it's very difficult because it's hard to step outside of that reality. But I think as coaches, it's important that we do that. So
we need hats that say why on them or the why.
I think that's been done.
Oh.
That's been done. I think Simon Sinek says that a lot to people.
Oh,
find your why. You know that guy?
Yeah,
it's kind of annoying. But
he's he's an interesting guy.
He's
interviews with him.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I used to watch too. But then after a while, you're like,
he's intense.
There's a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
That he's just
talks fast. Yeah.
Does he have an accent? He has an accent, right? He's from Australia.
He does have an accent.
I think he's an Aussie or New Zealand. I don't know.
But it's like very light.
I think he's a Kiwi. I think he's from Australia, not New Zealand.
Am I gonna Google this? Okay, fine.
Yeah, right. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna sing another song by Bob Seger. No, I'm more of an R&B guy.
Hey, Seeger's got some good stuff.
Oh, I like Seger, but I'm more an R&B guy.
What's another Seeger song? All I can think of is Night Moves right now.
What about
there's so many other ones.
Old records off the shelf. Was that Old Time Rock and Roll?
Yes.
How can you forget that one?
I don't know. Let me ask Simon Sinek.
So, while Eric looks this up,
English-born American. So he's English.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wasn't going to say Kiwi.
I heard a sense of Australian. Anyway, so the point is, if you're doing,
we got to stop going on this side. They're just useless.
If you're
Googling random people, stop it.
No, if you're a coach who builds walls around yourself, stop it. So I think one thing in defense of anonymous posters online, because this is another thing where it's sort of built in the same. Because a lot of the people who attack them are probably coaches or people who are like, oh, why don't you just put your name to it? Well, you're afraid. This is what people don't understand. If somebody sees that you're complaining about them, or if somebody sees that you're asking for advice about your situation, then there will be consequences. Insecure coaches will not see this as constructive criticism. They will not. Do you have your coaster? Do you have your coffee on a coaster?
Yeah, I do.
This is our old damaged table, and Eric's. You're just off tonight.
Yeah, and
or I'm off because I'm like a weirdo. Oh, look, he's cleaning it. Oh, Eric, this table is like 1,000 years old.
I carried this table down.
We did
down like 30 stories. Well, in an elevator from an office building.
Wait, what was that little? What was the little aside in an elevator?
In an elevator. In a busy city at like 10 p.m.
We did. That was a crazy night.
Yeah.
All for the podcast.
Yeah, with a dolly, and it was pretty sketchy, but we made it work. Yeah,
we did make it.
All for the podcast.
That was the girl's name, right? Dolly?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that's the t-shirt for the podcast.
That's the dolly. Yeah. We will sell some. People have been asking some Volleyballology clothing. We have to get that out there to the masses. Or maybe our sponsors. Banana Hammocks. Banana Mick. Anyway, we are just... We're loopy today.
We're going to have to edit this one.
Nah. Authentic. So anonymous posting... people don't understand just how petty. You know what I mean? Like everybody who's commenting about how it's inappropriate that people post anonymously, they don't understand the pettiness of other coaches out there, or maybe parents who are just going to be like all over this person in real life, and they won't see it as constructive. I've seen politely worded anonymous posts, and people are apologizing for posting anonymously. But let me tell you right now, if you are posting anonymously, stop apologizing, because we know, and other parents know, and other coaches know how crazy the ramifications can be for you. If somebody finds out that you're saying you're not crap talking these people, you're not saying horrific things, you're just pointing out a situation. And you're terrified that insecure coach is going to punish your kid for it.
It's funny how all of them apologize in these anonymous posts. Mm-hmm. So there's so many things in the anonymous post. Like the anonymous post is a symptom of the problem, right? And the problem is that we're just afraid to communicate more so. Like, I mean, I was afraid to talk to my coaches when I was younger. And even when I was playing in varsity, I was somewhat afraid to have tough conversations. But I think it's even more so, I don't think we communicate as much. And we clearly don't. We communicate through a screen.
Yep.
So less actual in person, which means our confidence to approach someone and be like, hey, or hello, or excuse me, can I have a minute of your time? And even just those common introductory sentences to kind of like greet each other in a nice way. Yeah. Right. Because it's funny how a lot of when conversations do start, there's almost like a very detectable directive or emotional tone. Yes. Right. Just because everyone's already so tense. And in this example, whether it's the coach or the adult or whoever, or even the kid, because they're so nervous to do it. Right. So we're not good at that. And because of that, we go and we post anonymously. And then because we post anonymously, we apologize because we feel like we're offending people. But the people who are taking offense to it, like, well, why are you taking offense to it? I mean, you have the opportunity, if you're on this forum paying attention, you have the opportunity to help someone. And it's just that age-old saying, like, what is it? If you can't help, how does it go? If
you can't stand the heat.
Or like, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Right. And it's just, even if someone does something stupid, okay, what is mocking them going to do? You can the only thing that's really worth any value is you can be a teacher in that moment, and you can, maybe they said something really stupid, but again, like, I love the teachers that taught me, like, even in college when I was learning other stuff like physics, like, they would say there's no dumb question, and I would have dumb questions, and I don't know why, but sometimes I would understand. I actually was really good at physics, but sometimes I'd have a dumb question. It's funny because as soon as I would ask the question, I would either realize it, or then we would have a laugh, and then they would explain, like, oh, right, I'm so stupid, or whatever. So, but then now that I did that, I'm less afraid to raise my hand the next time to go in and talk to them. Right. So maybe it's also just a good idea just to, again, the intent isn't to be buddy with the coach. The intent is to just, at the beginning of the season, just to introduce yourself and just be like, hey, like, and again, not with the intent of trying to be super cliquey to give your kid an advantage. Just like, hey, I want to introduce myself, blah, blah. And ideally, maybe your kid even sees you do that. And then if they have something they want to say to the coach, that they don't even ask you about it. They just go and do it themselves because they see, oh, I can see my parent talking to my coach. They look like they're communicating in a nice way. I think I could do that. Yeah. You know?
I think the biggest reason that people are afraid to post isn't, I think there's a lot of what you're saying in that you're afraid of the confrontation. We've been conditioned not to be able to walk in too highly charged for sure. But I think the biggest reason that we see is the power imbalance between the coach and the parent, despite the fact that the parent is the quote unquote paying customer, or whatever you want to call it. Right. There's this, because there's a implied knowledge base that the coach is supposed to have. And only people like us know when a coach is a fraud, right? Like, I can see a coach in 5 seconds, how they're running systems, what they're doing, whether they know what they're talking about or whether they don't know what they're talking about. And so when a lot of these parents are posting anonymously because they know that they have a coach that is going to use any sort of challenge to their authority or power as a way to, punish a kid, or they're gonna channel or direct that insecurity, and that's who is challenging these parents, and that's who's sort of quote unquote bullying the anonymous posters online, because they are the same people that attacked us when we started this show, because they're probably coaches, right, or maybe parents whose kids are getting a ton of playing time and they have that same mindset as the coach. They win now, whatever. And they want to make sure that these posts stop. Yeah, because... So they don't want anonymous posters because that lets free discussion happen. Yeah, that lets everybody see. That exposes what's behind the curtain, that there's a crazy coach. There's a crazy coach. Yeah. There's another insecure. Wow, this coach. So they just want to stop all of that, because when they read you posting an anonymous thing, all they see is themselves getting attacked. Just like when we talk about something, they just feel that it's them, and they're like, "Shut these guys up." We got people telling remember we got like pages asked to block our clips or videos or episodes. Yep. because we were like so offensive to them as
Yeah.
people who've played more than them, coached more than them, higher level than them, and they they want us to shut up. Like, what? I think you got this backwards, right? So that's why these anonymous people are getting punished online.
Yeah.
No, sorry. You remember the beginning of this?
Yeah. Like they mocked us. I think they called me like what do they call me? The
dopey or something like that. Yeah.
The agreeable guy, and they called you the arrogant dude.
know-it-all. Yeah. And who is this guy talking, right? Like,
yeah.
But that's why you don't read that stuff, because it's like this is why people posting anonymously shouldn't read the comments on their posts unless it's like just ignore the idiocy, because we live in a world where every idiot can talk, right? Including us, right? Like we're part of the idiots. But if you're the reason why we did this, and the reason why we encourage people to talk anonymously or with their names attached, is because it needs to happen. Because we talk about this in so many different ways, right? So many bad things in history have happened because nobody speaks up. So even this is not to equate volleyball with like world politics or anything, but if there's bad things happening in sport, and if nobody talks about it, then it'll never get better. And there is something happening in youth sports today, all sports, where it's so easy for the wrong person to go in and coach it. And like who's in it for their ego, not for the kids. And the parents are also getting sucked into this trap. That if people don't post about the insanity, like, where are we going with it then, right? The kids quit. People lose the whole point of sport.
This is just like how anything worked in any society or tribe or whatever. The people of the community talked and figured it out. So, of course, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but I'm sure it is.
Or every relationship.
Yeah.
Right? Two people. If they don't talk.
Yeah.
Not too good.
So if you're getting these kind of vibes from your coach, like, that probably is they're not able to answer the why. Dang, I forgot my train of thought, but
sorry. Yeah, no, I mean, I've seen coaches where like literally where players were asking the coach about a question about, a positional thing, and the coach the coach answered, "This is my team," and walked out of the gym. Well, that's your answer?
Our listeners are going to remember that this happened to your daughter, right?
Yeah. The team,
she asked questions.
It actually wasn't my daughter. It was someone else on the team asking, just like, should we rethink this because on the court this is happening? And that coach's answer, rather than like, okay, guys, here's why we're doing it, because it was indefensible what they were talking about.
Oh, I don't remember this example. I'm talking about when your daughter was basically told after she asked questions, hey, you're not going to jump serve anymore, and we want you to tip because you're too short.
I don't think she even asked questions. Maybe I think in that case, in that case, it was just a demeanor thing. It was just a demeanor thing. In that case, it was just she's not allowed to spin serve, and highest kill percentage on the team. Didn't matter. She can't swing. No, it was just because they knew that people were getting frustrated because they were being told, they were outgrowing their coaches.
Yeah.
And the coach wanted to put the brakes on that and flex his muscles and show that he knows more than the kids, even though all he did was...
That is communication. I mean, your body language communicates
100%.
How you are, exactly, following someone.
Well, if your team just starts... if your advice doesn't work, then the players are going to not listen to you, and you're going to see it in their body language. But in the one that I was talking about was where in practice there was a different coach who was telling the players to stand on the attack line. That's the 3-meter line or the 10-foot line for all you people out there. So three players stand on that attack line for serve receive, okay? And this is like spin serving age. This is the age where there's deep, hard, fast float serves coming at you. So this coach, and the players were trying to listen, but they couldn't get the balls going over their head. And this coach was telling them that they were too slow, rather than telling them to stand at the proper.
Have no way to, because
it's an impossible. It's like it's such a weird request, and and he was emphatic about it. And I'm sitting here watching this as a former pro, as a former varsity guy, post-secondary guy, and I'm like, I didn't say a word, and at practice,
pretty close to it, but not.
So at practice, I mean, it's It's pretty, it's a big difference though.
Like
For
4
short,
meters.
these are short little girls, by the way, right? This is like 15, 16-year-old girls. So it's a very weird thing to say because you always teach it's easier to move forward than go back. But anyway, I'm not going to get into the philosophy of it, but it's just wrong. And it doesn't work. and so
That's an ultimatum.
And then
I just wanted to say that. Sorry. It's not, but
it's an ultimatum. So they asked about it politely at practice, and he got so upset. I wasn't there, but the players told the other girl who asked about it told us about it. And she said that I asked about this, and he stormed out of the gym, and he yelled, "This is my team," and he left the gym and slammed the door.
See, that's where parents need to leave the team. They need to be there and see that and
eventually-
be like, you can't leave your kids around an adult who behaves like that.
Exactly. And that's what I said. Like, that's why our kids,
I
asked our kids a little later in that
moly.
season, they said, can we just quit? Like, they came up to me and I saw it on their face, and I was like, okay, this is no
don't
longer
even call it quitting. It's like,
well, this is like no longer serving. Like, there's some benefit, and we stuck around with this guy for a long time. I wanted my kids to see what this is like, right? To learn from toxic, idiotic behavior. And then they reached a point where they were like, we got to get out of here. This isn't helpful anymore. And I was like, yeah, if you're not enjoying the game and it's not fun and you feel philosophically there's nothing here, then, and they were getting playing time. It wasn't that they weren't getting playing time. It was just weird decisions and screaming and all that stuff. Right. So again, that coach had no communication, and no parent was really willing to go talk to this guy. He would ask me for advice periodically from time to time, but then it reached a point where it was like, I didn't know what to say to the guy, so I just stayed away from him because I didn't talk to him. And then the kids decided that they would leave, and I was like, I support you guys if you want to do that. Because then it turned into my kids learning how to stand up against, I wouldn't say abusive behavior, but it was up there. Like he did scream at them. He was like oddly, insecure to the point that he needed to assert himself. So it crossed to that point where now the lesson I need to teach my kids is to walk away from really toxic situations, especially as young girls, right? Male coach, sorry, but so it was a tricky situation.
Storming out of the gym of 15, 16-year-old girls.
And over a question, it wasn't an attack.
I mean, maybe it's a moment of passion for them as the coach, but yeah,
but it's not like they're passionate about volleyball.
No, they're passionate about their
ego,
control,
their ego and control and power and authority. That's what I'm talking about.
Their authority.
Coaches got to ask themselves, man, am I more addicted to the authority here? Because I see, we were talking about this yesterday, my wife and I was like, we were talking about like the volleyball has to win. Like if I'm coaching, and when I'm coaching, I don't care about how a kid acts, dresses, race, gender, whatever. To me, volleyball has to win. So the decision is rooted in volleyball. Whereas I see other coaches who don't pick volleyball. They pick the kid that looks the part, dresses the part, acts the part, maybe has been with them longer. And I can't stand that. You know why? Like, I don't know if anybody here listening ever watches. I'm sort of obsessed with the show The Voice, because if you haven't watched it, have you ever watched it?
Yeah,
because it's not just a singing competition. These people are like getting coached. So I love watching it because these high level and like people who have made it, high level quality singers.
What do you mean they're actually doing coaching?
So what they do is, the cool thing is they're not facing the singers on The Voice. They're facing away from them, so they can't even see them, and they have to hit a button if they want to turn around and coach this person. So it's totally not based on appearance at all.
Right.
And so the beauty of the show is that if multiple coaches turn around, then the singer gets to pick who they want to work with. And then the rest of the show is that person working with this and coaching them. And like you see, so really what it is,
that's over like months.
Yeah, it takes a week, the whole season. And it's like, it's really cool to see people's progress and work ethic and the humility of these great successful artists who are coaching them, and the humility of the artist, or maybe the arrogance of the artist. And you see that it costs them because they don't listen. Most of them are really good though. Like they're all high level because they're filtered. It's not like American Idol where they used to like make fun of people on American Idol. These are all good singers, but the ones who make it past the blind auditions, they call it. But what I was getting at there is that it's so cool to see what I was talking about with my wife when we saw it, was like, do you think they ever pick someone, like as a coach, like they get to decide who moves on for early stage of the competition? And I said, she goes, my wife said, like, do you think they pick people who they think could win the show more for them as a coach? And I said, I don't think so. I think that as artists, as players, because you're so passionate about singing, that you you really can't. It's impossible for you to pick someone who doesn't deserve to be there on merit and go with that. It's like literally impossible because they're so in it. And I was thinking, and I said to her, what's funny? As a coach, I was the same way. Like
they're so confident they can help that individual person, like their skill set or whatever. Like, again, I don't know singing and stuff, right? But in terms of volleyball, I may see an athlete that I really know that what I know I can really convey to them, whereas other athletes I would want to, but maybe they have skills that need developing that I'm not that good at helping them with.
Well, what I mean is, for them, it's the singing and the voice wins, not the makeup, the outfit, that person I can win with. America, because it comes a time where like the citizens vote, like the viewers vote.
Yeah.
And I, as seeing them in their art, they can't pick they would never pick the less talented person over the talented person as long as they're the ones picking. And it's because they've done it. They're high achieving artists. They know how difficult it is to do what that person's doing.
Right.
And so me as a player, when I became a coach, I would always pick the best player.
Well, yeah, because it doesn't make any sense. Like,
but that's because you're coming at it from someone who's played the game. See,
our priority. How do I superficially make someone a good volleyball?
Because if they in the volleyball sense, the equivalent is picking the player whose family has been with you longer, who looks more like a volleyball player, and people know this, right?
This does happen.
This does it. The height versus quality.
Yeah, right.
The appearance versus. I'm sorry, but coaches are weird that way. They pick better looking. I mean, I guess everybody in society is like this a little bit, but there's that real bias, but not to the athlete. See, this is what I'm talking about. So as a coach, as a former player, I put volleyball first when I'm picking teams and when I'm deciding what we need to work on, whereas a lot of other fake coaches are putting themselves first. And those are the same coaches who pick the players based on height, who pick the players based on their outfits and what they're wearing and how agreeable they are. Whereas volleyball has to, of course, I will say that, you will pick someone who's coachable versus non-coachable, like you were getting at with the voice example, but that's still volleyball winning. You know what I mean? Because that's still in the quest for the pursuit of excellence.
Yeah, I didn't understand it at first, but now I do. Yeah. I see what you mean. I thought you meant like I know
what you meant, like who you can coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know, but like it's like that's what it made me think about that when we were talking about the voice, because I was like, yeah, it would be impossible for any one of these great singers who've made it to pick someone.
Yeah.
But it would be somebody who would do that is someone who's not into singing that much. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is what record producers did.
Well, I'm kind of thinking...
this is what record producers did for decades, right? They didn't care about the talent. They cared about the look. The record producer who can't sing, who wants to just sell a lot of records.
Yeah.
It's like this coach who wants to win a lot of medals. They don't care about volleyball. They care about their ego. They care about their accomplishments. The singer cares about the voice. The volleyball player cares about the game. And that's an interesting thing, right?
I think it's kind of hard to fake to even, because the entertainment industry, being singers, especially in like North America, it's so competitive. Like even if you are confident that you think you can make someone a good product of like a one-hit wonder or something and get one record off, like, yeah, I mean, I kind of like go for it, but like that's such a tough industry to be in. Like if you're not going with genuine talent and genuine inspiration and creativity, your chances are really going to be right.
That's the one cool shift that's happened in the world, despite all our superficiality and all the social media stupidity. There is something interesting about real talent is sort of getting easier to find,
right?
Versus like back then they used to just hold up someone and say, we're going to make this person famous, throw them out there. And now people are like, people are going to be not their BS meters going up on that. They're like, oh, you're picking that person when there's a whole world of YouTubers out there who are singing like crazy,
right? They used to make
dancers,
Super Tramp and all these other bands.
What, you don't like Super Tramp?
No, I do love Super Tramp.
Why'd you say that's Super Tramp?
Well, they were a super band. They were put together with a purpose, for a purpose.
Were they?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
They were handpicked. Yeah.
I don't know if that's right. I think you got the wrong band.
No, I don't.
Should we look that up?
We can look it up. Yeah. But they made amazing music, but they didn't last that long.
I didn't know Super Tramp was a manufactured.
Hence why they're called Super Tramp.
I don't think so.
Oh my goodness!
I don't think
I'm
that's
about to
true at
school a
all.
48-year-old.
I don't think that's true at all.
If you know I'm right, make sure you say so.
Name 2 songs by Super Tramp. Go ahead.
I used to listen to them all the time.
Name
right?
2 then. Name 2 then.
Right, just give me a second.
Oh no, it's raining again. You couldn't even think of that? You don't even know that song.
Okay.
It's raining again. Oh no, my love's in it. That's exactly the way the guy sounded.
No, they actually lasted 10 years. So okay.
But they're not a super band. They're just a guy. They're just a band.
Well, no.
You just heard the term Super Tramp.
No, I didn't. I didn't think. I heard the word super. No, I knew a little bit of the history, but I know that
What does it say, though?
They were put together by a producer.
Is that what it said? Honestly, I'm honestly interested. I'm not laughing at you anymore. I'm just.
Yeah.
No. I think it is. I think you might be right.
Well, the lineup also changed many times.
No, it's not the same.
Let me read the. I'm about to start swearing a lot.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure they're not a super. Honestly, they were just an organic band that formed in the 1970s. I was a fan of Super Tramp. That's why. I'm trying to think who was a super band that was put together. One Direction. I mean, if we want to go recently, One Direction, right?
Right.
Whoops. That's who One Direction was put together for. But anyway, are we way off topic now?
A little bit, but we need to see this through now.
Well, I know. You're just going to find whatever you want to find on the internet.
Yeah, probably. Okay, I'll just read this little bit.
Page 88.
No,
there was a Super Tramp was a super band.
Super Tramp was initially called Daddy until they set about turning a hobby into a profession in 1970, which sounds more like an organic beginning.
Yeah, no, they weren't one of those super bands. But you're young, so I get that. So, but I did like the phrase, I'm going to school a 48-year-old. That was good. I like that.
Thank you.
All the people, you just, man, think of all our fans that love Super Tramp. And they're like, oh, Eric
I love Super Tramp.
I know, but you just accuse Super Tramp of being like a fake, non-organic
No, the way I had it was that I thought it was like a
nuts.
producer who knew like this amazing person, and this one, and kind of put them together.
Yeah.
And mind you, the band changed its members many times over 10 years.
Yes.
So that also, I know many bands.
They hate each other and they find you. That's not a super.
But that's
band.
also just like driven for perfectionism. But someone forming the band. That's what I mean.
I don't like what you're doing here.
I don't like what you're doing here.
Anyway, they were a band that grew up organically like any other band. They weren't what you talked about. They weren't the One Direction where they plucked a bunch of guys and said, "Here, go sing together." They weren't manufactured by some record producer, right?
Right.
That's what we were.
I don't think they were. You're right.
No, yeah.
Because record producers were not that big back in the 70s.
Don't worry, I'll edit all this out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But what was the point of that? Oh, we were talking about,
we're talking about handpicking.
Yeah, kind of like coaching.
Picking.
Yeah, coaching. It's the same sort of thing. It's like a coach that picks something based on, I think I'm going to do this because I'm going to win a lot of medals versus I'm going to take the best 6 players or 12 players or whatever. But getting back to anonymous, but that's sort of connected with why it happens. Because like if you have a coach who has that mindset, then it's very difficult to approach them with something, a legitimate concern. So, but I like what you said about everybody's guard being up, right? That's a huge thing today.
Oh, now you're complimenting me?
Yeah, that's how it works.
Oh, okay.
I like how you saw that. That's good. But I meant it. But I meant it.
You're so predictable.
But I meant it, though.
Hey, I won't be yawning anymore. I'm laughing.
It was good.
Thank you.
No, because I think we need to talk more about that because that is that's not the part that I meant when we started, but that is a good one.
I also had a point that I think like conversational skills can go a long way in this with this issue. The reason why I bring this up is I was in customer service for 4 or 5 years in the medical side, like fixing medical equipment, and my mic is acting up. Oh no. Hello? Okay.
It's an ultimatum.
We gotta fix that. It's I'm gonna work or not. And there's no consequence. Yeah, that's the consequence.
Yeah,
it doesn't work. Yeah, so really high demand. If the machine went down, it was a CT scanner basically. So if it went down, it had to get back up, right? Because it's super important.
Yeah.
But what I was a customer service representative. As much as I was there to actually fix the machines, I had to be there and kind of negotiate and talk the customer down. And, I always walked into a tense situation is what I'm trying to say here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was difficult for me because I just care way too much about, and I don't like very tense or hostile situations. And,
Right.
and I always want to do what's best I want everyone I want things to work. I want these patients to be able to get their care. I want the clinicians to be able to do their job. And I want the staff to, not be going crazy and like having to do all the shift changes, whatever.
Mm.
And so through this, I ended up just developing good ways to communicate in a calm, I don't even need to say the word calm, just in a nice way, in an understanding way with whatever. And like they understood the challenges I was coming from. Maybe I did that. I kind of, in some ways, let them understand my challenges and how it affected the service I was able to or not able to provide to them in what capacity of time or manpower, or whether it's parts coming here or blah, blah, blah. So the more, I didn't share everything with them, but the one thing I just went with honesty for the most part, right? You don't have to say everything, but letting them in helped them so much, just kind of feel calm. Like, even though like I was in some really bad situations where the machine was down for
Right. I remember this. You were
days,
so stressed.
Some of them were weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was super stressed. Or even like one time it was down.
And it
for,
was just unplugged, you found out.
Man, that's like 60% of the time.
Well, really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Sometimes. Well, when I was working public sector.
So you don't do this anymore.
No. When I was
just to be clear.
When I was working on smaller devices in what's called public sector, yeah, most of the time you just restart it or plug it back in.
Wow, like a router.
Or like actually charge the batteries and stuff like that.
That's so funny. Isn't that funny how it's kind of funny how it's universal law. Sorry, not to be off topic, but isn't that funny how that's a universal law for all of us? We all need to detach, reconnect, reboot, right?
Yeah.
Sorry,
right.
just want to be poetic there.
Wow.
Deep. Back to your story.
Yeah. My point is that I think good conversational skills.
That CT scanners are.
Oh, they're great. I love them. They're quiet.
Some of my best friends are
They don't
CT
yell at you. You know, I never got
contradict
shocked.
you. They don't contradict you, but your Superman theory. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
I won't forgive you, but
you won't forgive me. That Super Tramp formed themselves. You won't forgive me for that. Anyway, no, the story was that the communication part.
Yeah. I think that can really,
it's a dying art.
Really deal with this in a very profound way.
I know. And the more we head online, the more that's becoming, and the more awkward we are with real life people too. Like, by the way, like these posts, like these volleyball groups, they're wonderful on one hand because they let people communicate, but they're awful on the other because they make people fester and sit in their own hatred. And then you walk out your door and you feel like that reality that you've seen online is the reality outside, and it can really ramp you up and make you like really crazy too, like the perspective, you know what I mean? And then the algorithms will keep showing you the things like, so if you're in the volleyball moms group, or if you're on a Facebook group that's discussing anything, it knows you like this, and it'll send you more of it. Yeah. And it'll make you angry.
Which is part of what's ramping you up.
Which is crazy. And then you go into these interactions with real living people, and you can't keep your cool, and you don't know why. It's because you've been ramped up.
Yeah.
Like you're super ramped.
You're super. And you.
No, but all of that. No, that was not all. That was like, imagine if I planned that. Oh, sorry. That's good.
Also,
I was proud of that one.
Back to my customer service example.
Okay.
After a few years, after I had literally gone through terrible situations, after that, I would walk into the next problem, but nothing was crazy to me because I had seen the worst of it. Mm-hmm. So me walking in calmly, it automatically put my customers in a calm state. Yeah. You know, the machine was down and they don't know when it's going to be back, but they weren't worried. They're just like, oh, Eric's here. He'll give us an update. We'll get a timeline. And it's always like within some form of probability, right? Mm-hmm. Depending if this happens, then this will happen or whatever. I would just kind of go by that. And then that made my job so much easier because after I developed these relationships with these customers, no situation was stressful anymore. Yeah. Right. It was
it's 100% true. I think that's a great
And then
point.
the whole COVID thing and global shipping delays. Anyways,
Wow. Oh yeah, you were the frontline person answering.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
that became an excuse, a legitimate excuse, and now it's still an excuse to this day, right? Isn't that kind of weird?
It's interesting. I know how long that's lasting.
Manufacturing demand or supply, the supply issues.
But it's weird. It's weird because after COVID, it's service just dropped off the map, like across the board. Like it's interesting because probably because turnover of staff and but then people kind of fell asleep, yeah, and they just didn't want to go back.
Yeah.
But no, that's such a good point because I think this is what is behind the anonymous posting or why people don't go to their coaches, because they do see that this is sort of a very difficult place difficult to initiate in person, and they know the reactions of the other party are way up here, and that their own might be as well. So
that sucks if you know that the reaction is going to be like that.
I think that's definitely why it's happening, because people know that there's just going to be blowback for the kid, or that's why the kid's
But that's
terrified.
even better, because what's worse is not knowing the reaction. Because if I know they're already going to come at me with heat, it's almost like I kind of know how to deal with that, though.
No, but it's not a good situation, like we talked about. Like if you know that the person you're dealing with is not communicative and not open and gonna punish your kid for it, it's not good to know.
Well, why would you leave your kid there?
Well, that's that leads to other things where it's like, it sounds like a great solution, but financially people may have put up so much money.
Yeah.
They know the club has more power than them. Like if you put up thousands of dollars for your kid to play, right? Like, a lot of parents didn't leave our teams when we had our issues, and I get it, because they the money was more of an issue.
You're picking, what's the point in going?
To us, it was more valuable to teach our kids to me, that's priceless. But to other parents,
as long as the athlete is getting the lesson, I suppose, whether it comes from you or just leaving them. Well, you leave them in that program and you talk with them afterwards, and
we did that for as long as possible.
That's a great way to get through it. Yeah.
But then we had to like I said, then it became an issue of like, are you teaching your kid to tolerate something that's above and beyond bad coaching? I think, you know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to have a bad coach,
right.
It's another thing to have a toxic individual,
and then how many seasons
abusing and treating you badly, unfairly. That's what I think a lot of parents need to talk about. Like, when they are making these anonymous posts. Nothing but a dream. Don't make me sing. My agent hates it when I sing for free for people.
I'm going to read more about Super Tramp later.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Do it now on the air. People will probably listen to that more than us.
Yeah, probably. What else? Like, do the hard things. That's kind of tied in with, like, me going through the terrible situations in former job. Like, as soon as I saw, like, the worst scenario possible, everything was easy from there on, right? So I just come in with a calm demeanor, and I think...
Are we back to talking about you again?
No. But there's the same theme. We bring this theme up a lot. Doing hard things, right?
Yeah, taking care of yourself.
Yeah, like it's gonna downplay the projected intensity that you are imagining is going to be this conversation. It's really not. It's going to be insignificant.
This becomes easier when
everything
gets put in perspective when you do hard things. And
Yeah,
I agree. I think that if you jump in an ice bath before you go talk to that coach, or invite the coach into it.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Bring him in. Yeah,
both of you together.
Yeah,
close quarter. No, what? Wrong show. Wrong podcast.
Can you get hard in an ice bath?
What did you say? What did you say? What did you just say? Oh my God! It does make the muscles more firm, if that's what you're asking. Yes, they feel like your body's like tighter. I highly recommend that, by the way. If people when you're in the shower, just do hard things. When you're in the shower, turn that water down cold. Yeah.
You're gonna have to edit this whole show.
Yeah, I think we'll just delete it.
Skip
we'll
this
just
week.
delete this, and then it'll jump straight to episode 57. So the topic was when you're afraid to talk to your coach. Well, so what can people do if they are afraid to talk to their coach. Let's get into the area of solutions now that it's
Good idea.
an hour in and nobody's left listening. What can you do if you are having a? Was there a little weird sound? No.
Yeah, I think
okay.
that
Yeah, it was a little
after I
weird.
swallowed.
Yeah.
Weird. I noticed that.
So there's-
Are our show's getting worse these last few
I think the
few
show.
weeks?
I think they've been getting worse.
Are we too tired?
I think they started bad and they're still bad. But
Okay.
the solution. So
Solutions.
what can a parent do if they're afraid to talk to their coach? I think that, like what you were talking about, that disarming, sort of going in politely, calmly. I mean, obviously
multiple.
waiting before you address
Yeah.
this. Like, don't go right up after the end of the tournament. Some places have policies in place where you have to wait,
Yeah.
24 hours before you have a cooling off period.
That's funny. They have policies.
Yes.
And we know where policies
not
come
allowed
from.
not allowed to email within 24 hours after a game. That's a good rule. It's a good policy. Sometimes people calm down a little bit, but if the email still comes, I think email is a good way sometimes to initiate contact, because
Right.
you have a chance to be more measured in your words. You don't have that body language thing coming through.
Yeah.
If you're not a strong writer, it could come off really
Right.
badly too.
Because you
so.
can't express tone and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So if you're writing, you need to write in such a way where you're trying to remove any ambiguity and like
Yes.
possible sarcasm or so you
Yeah.
try to be a good writer.
So if you're not a good writer, then maybe you should go for the in-person route.
Yeah.
Right.
Your like life as a case study with your daughters, like those are great solutions. The decision to not act, even though you did many times, but then in other examples you had your own discussion.
Usually,
and you chose
yeah.
not to because you knew it was the what do you call that? Picking the easier battle, or not the easier battle, but you've already been through this thing. There's no need to learn that lesson again.
Yeah.
There's no need to antagonize the
longer
coach to make it even
serving.
worse for your daughters.
Yeah, we rarely addressed coaches unless there was advice given to, like maybe just what was your, like, just wondering what you're thinking. And sadly, I think so with us, I was kind of, like, my kids and us, I think we had a problem with people knowing who we were.
Yeah,
where there's
right.
a little bit of like any innocent question from me became, they
It's
think
coming from him.
this is coming from him, so he's
Right.
they like, it almost seemed like if I go up to someone,
Yeah, right.
if
right,
I
of
went up to
course.
someone with, like, not that I'm like, but I am known in this little like fish bowl. So if I come up and I say like, hey, just wondering what your thinking is, it's already loaded with like, you're condescending, or you're being an arrogant.
I can totally see that.
Remember?
Of course.
Like, it's happened.
And then even if they didn't know you, if they got to know you just a little bit after a season or two, they would, even within half a season, depending on how much they interacted with you, it would clearly come across quite quickly that you knew the sport a little bit.
Well, I never interacted with people like that. Like, so if anybody didn't know me, I didn't. They wouldn't know that I knew the sport. The only
Right.
problem is they know what I own.
Yeah.
And they knew that, everybody. There wasn't anybody who didn't. So that could have been a problem, but but I still was never vocal. Like, I was never vocal.
Yeah.
And if anything, because I was aware of that, I was intentionally far less vocal. Not even, like, I would never even go ask a coach anything unless they asked me.
I knew
Some
that
coaches
was mostly
asked
the
me
reason why.
Some coaches asked me for advice, and I thought that was a good sign. I was like, okay, good.
Yeah.
Humble coach, open.
Didn't last that long.
And then it turned into, honestly, it was very weird, because it almost turned into, then they were going to either show me or show my kids, or like, it got into that it got into that weird thing. Well, this is sort of, we had a show about, when the coach targets the best player, like, and good coach, bad coach. I think that came up where sometimes coaches are weird that way, where they're insecure, so they're gonna punish the strongest player on the team as a way to show that they're
As
boss.
a win.
And I think we may like, just looking back on it, we may have faced a bit of that, because every one of those coaches knew us. So there might have been a weird because that's what weakness does. Right? Weakness likes to look powerful.
Sometimes, like when I'm coaching kids or adults, like if the ones who are like a little bit better, I'll like smash the ball at them a little bit harder.
No, but you're not the guy. You're not the guy, because you don't have this. You don't have this insecurity. Yeah, on the court, you're not you're not threatened because you know that you're good and you know
They
that you
need to-
played well.
These coaches need a win against you in some way because you're.
You would see it, honestly, you would see it if you had kids one day and there was a coach who was not into volleyball as much as you, and then they might have a little bit of.
Well, I always knew that's part of the reason why you were more reticent.
Yeah, I stood back. Yeah, and people used to ask me, like, how can you, like, whatever, and I was like, just like, because it's it's a bad idea if I go talking, but
so communication skills.
So I went and did this instead.
Yeah.
That's why. I had to get it out.
Maybe this is a
my calling
reaction to that.
It is,
right?
100%. This is a reaction. It's a reaction to seeing not my kid's story, but just like, wow, this is like, because again, as a coach.
Aftermath. That was the name of one of Slim Shady's albums.
Oh, wow. Nobody was talking about that at all.
And this is your aftermath.
I like how you called him Slim Shady and not Eminem.
Or Marshall Mathers.
Yeah. But Slim Shady.
This is your aftermath.
That was his alter ego. That was Eminem as a different person. No, no, this is definitely a consequence of that, of being, but also what it was because I had coached for so long and I had played for so long, it was truly mind-blowing to me and eye-opening to me how rampant this crazy coaching was, like, and how little knowledge there was among other I just assumed, I live in my little, and this is why we had that show, Do Good Coaches Know About Bad Coaches?
Yeah. When did you first tell me about this? You were like, hey, Eric, like, come watch this tournament. Like, you're not going to believe. Like,
and that was a few years in.
That was
a few years in.
This is 5 or 6 years ago.
You knew about it before. I mean, when we had that coach telling my daughter not to.
I knew from my own experience. And no, bro, I mean, the first time you kind of started to tell me about this stuff, and I was just like, oh, man. I was just saying,
and I
like,
started looking around at the whole tournament.
Yeah.
Like all the tournaments. And I was like,
and then I went to
they're
the
all
one.
frauds.
Yeah.
They're all frauds. Like honestly, like few coaches are legit. Like, it's so shocking.
Right. And this isn't surprising, though, because
it's not,
they're only paid a few $1,000s. How can we expect?
And it's just the rule of, it's a universal law, right? It could be doctors, could be lawyers, could be teachers, cops, construction workers, plumbers. There's a thin sliver at the top,
right? Of
a
people,
giant thing at the bottom. I think the bottom is getting bigger.
Of people who are truly doing the role, filling the role.
Truly doing it,
and
love it, good at it.
Yeah.
That's sort of a universal law. So like, but the problem with this is that this one is like having a real impact on kids. So this is why, like,
these are our kids' mentors.
These are kids' mentors, and it's setting tone for life,
which is also
kicking kids out of sport,
which is also what attracts these certain people too. So it's funny how it works in two ways, right? Like this role has an attraction to it because it's the auto authority, right? And then it's also worse because they are the authority. They're the instant mentor. They're the instant teacher, whatever, right? So now it's going to have aftermath. It's going to have consequences as these kids like grow up, right? And then, and so the people who have a little bit of sense of self of not wanting to do wrong will just not act. They will not volunteer to be the coach or whatever, right? Because they have somewhat of they're like, oh, I don't really know, and therefore I won't do this. But then other people who just have some clear directive to just be a boss or a bully or whatever,
feel important,
they are then drawn to this.
Yeah.
It's exactly where we don't want these people.
And it's the easiest route. Remember we talked about this.
Is this a paradox?
It's a paradox in a
societal paradox.
It's a paradox in that it's the role that you want to attract the people who are humble.
I feel like it's like making an atom bomb or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The wrong ingredients together.
Yeah. Right. It's the I think one of the real problems is that there's such a low barrier to entry into this realm of power and authority. And it's probably the realm that the most people go to when they want instant authority. Because we talked about before, there's sort of gatekeepers around the other ones.
With kids, right?
Yeah. Well, anything with kids, you get like, other areas are like degrees that you have to get, certificates, years of schooling if you want to be a cop or authority figure in that way. But if you want instant authority, the fastest route, become a youth sports coach.
And with parents and players becoming more passive or
afraid to communicate.
Yeah, right. That's even helping this.
The silence is
worsening it, however you want to.
The silence just prolongs and thus here we are doing this show.
Yeah.
So solutions are, I think that parents have to be communicative. Obviously, I mean, you can vent. The anonymous post is venting. It's good because it helps people see that they're not alone, right? That's what people tell us all the time.
Yeah.
But the other solution is you gotta speak up.
Isn't it funny how
in a polite way?
Yeah. We all know that the one thing to fix like a whole bunch of like issues that involve large groups of people or communities or populations is if the whole population just chose to not do that thing, right? To do the opposite or to not do that thing that would be an issue would immediately stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if we're talking about any form of trade, world trade, whatever, if we all just stop buying that one thing,
right?
End of product. If we all stop buying processed food, if we all stop buying pop, these things would disappear.
But what's the thing that keeps all of that?
Well, amazing marketing.
Well, but it also keeps it impossible. Something else.
People are
human
addicted
nature,
to it.
Human nature. Status. The need to be different. The need to be significant.
Yeah.
So like, let's suppose it's like to stop, buying something that everybody's buying. Somebody else can't go without it, or they're self-interested.
Yeah.
So they won't care about the community. They care about themselves. So we see this, right?
Well,
all in volleyball.
This works in processed food and like food that's clearly not good for you.
Well,
there's no status symbols there.
No. Okay, not status, but self-interest. Let me put it that way. Self-interest. So like, I want to do what I want. I want what's best for me. I don't want to think about the group. I want to think about me and my whatever selfishness, I guess, is maybe a better one. I'm going to think about my interests. So I want the processed food. I want the whatever it is, the horrible thing.
Okay.
I don't want to be so specific because a lot of people love processed food. But whatever. Yes, general, yes.
Right.
Yes. So
I know you love
they
Doritos.
they just go there. They just go there. I won't listen to super bands. No, but I want to do this, so I'm going to do it. And then that's sort of what breaks that whole.
Yeah.
That's every cause in human history, right?
Yeah.
Like we could all walk out of the workplace together, right? Hey, let's all walk out of the workplace. Let's just do this. And there's always going to be a few people who are like, I kind of need that paycheck.
Well, exactly. There's not one example in history where an entire population has stopped. It's never been done. So clearly, it's not. But we're not capable of it as a species.
Not without some serious organization at the top, and some people call that serious organization a dictatorship.
Yeah, or I was going to say like communism.
This is where communism itself is not a dictatorship.
No, I know,
but the only way. No, but I'm just talking. I'm talking to them, like the audience.
Okay.
Like people confuse communism and dictatorship up all the time.
Yeah.
But what it is really is the only way to get community or communism is through dictatorship. You have to have someone at the top saying, all right, round up the rich people and kill them, or round up the rich people and take their stuff. And that's the problem with communism, is that it sounds like a great idea. Like, let's all be equal. Let's all be fair. But when you realize that somebody has to actually take everybody's stuff, that's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why
How does that come to be?
Yeah. So the, in terms of this problem, the people going along with it, being silent, don't help. And there's always people who are on the side of that coach or on the side of that, benching everybody. That's the self-interested person who won't give up the processed food or super bands.
But what happens if,
they want the coach to keep benching people?
What if the coach has one parent approach them, right? And then now next week they have 2 more, so they've had 3 total, right?
There's still going to be parents on that team who hate those parents.
Oh, I know, but
they're the ones online yelling at the anonymous.
And then it's 4, then it's 5, and it's 6.
Well, this sounds like a movie,
right? Let's say it gets to 70, it gets to 3/4 of the team.
Oh yes,
that's going to have an effect on the coach.
Well, it depends on how bad the coach gets, right? Like, how bad does in our case?
I think the coach would just end up storming out and leaving. Anyways, they wouldn't. We know that's what happened.
Well, there's that. There's that, but there's also
they wouldn't all of a sudden have an epiphany and be like, oh man,
But there's also a huge thing you're forgetting is the power imbalance of the club. Like, they have you held captive. The club is just like, all right, go play somewhere else. Can't. Season started.
Well,
no other teams
what I mean.
looking.
But if you're communicating in a, like we said, in a respectful, calm way. It's not like you're making demands. You're just asking.
Oh, I know, but the coach, what I'm saying is that the coach doesn't have to listen to you. The club doesn't have to listen to you. They can punish you. They can kick you off the team.
That's fine.
There's this power about. I agree. No, I'm with you. I'm more the activist route.
Yeah.
I make the statement route.
Yeah.
That's why our kids decided to leave, and they inherited that from me, and they learned to not stand for injustice. And it's sort of like, you could argue it's like whatever, but it's like.
I thought you were gonna make a.
Well, no, you
could
could say that it's like, immature. Like some people think that that's an immature way to live, like, quitting and all this stuff, or dramatic. But in our case, it was just a matter of pride, self-respect, self-respect.
Drama is a coach screaming at kids. That's dramatic.
Yeah, that's what I found too. Immature, and like the same things that people might apply to.
It's like the grifting example you had earlier. You call that that dramatic? What about the whole season?
The whole yeah. I'm getting a text from Cam during the show. He knows we're recording.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, we have a crazy.
Should we have Cam on the show?
We have a crazy.
Should we have Cam on the show?
Friend.
Crazy stalker. I think Cam would be like. We should have episodes where we educate Cam on volleyball.
Ooh, that'd be good.
And then Cam,
he can ask questions.
Yeah, Cam is this, like, if you're wondering, Cam is this sort of outrageous person we've met that who's like I think he has a life that we have no idea he's led. He was a biker. He works at a church now, like at a religious school, in the gymnasium, the athletic facility.
He's married. He was a hitman, right?
I believe he keeps mentioning that he was a hitman.
Yeah.
He was joking. But then he like winks at you afterwards.
Yeah.
And he like threatens to kill you if you tell anybody.
And now that I kind of know him, I can't like stop the friendship because I don't know what will happen.
Yeah. Oh, so you want to stop the friendship with
Cam?
Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
while Cam's listening?
I mean, it's kind of like I look at him and he's got like an ultimatum kind of face.
Oh, an ultimatum. It's tattooed. The word ultimatum is tattooed, and it's spelled wrong.
I can't stop talking to him now though, because I don't know.
No, I know. Yeah, he's a difficult one. I'm trying to stop talking to him as well. No, but anyway, we should have Cam on. Cam said he'd like to come on.
I'm joking, Cam.
We are too. Cam knows we're joking, but we should have Cam on because Cam's like the most interesting man in the world, and I think even though he's not a volleyball guy, he does set up the nets for us so he does have some volleyball knowledge, but he just, I think it'd be cool to have him on and just have him ramble on.
It's nice you're thinking about him.
Well, he's a funny guy. He could be our new Meech. Anyway, I think we it's a tricky one to go communicate, but I think it's important that if nobody speaks up politely, nicely, asks the questions, maybe you can start to get some coaches thinking, and maybe you'll get the right coaches thinking once in a while about things without being confrontational. Mm-hmm. That's the key.
And talking with other parents again, not with the intent of like
gossiping,
a mutiny or a gossip. Yeah, but like for your own understanding of where they're coming from or what type of parent they are. Like if they're the ones who want the advantage of remaining quiet because it's going to help their kid get more playing time. Obviously, it's not. But that'll be a good lesson for you. You'll be like, okay, like clearly they're not going to be very supportive of this or whatever. But like more communication. It's probably the
rule for life.
Relationships have failed.
Rule of life, yeah. Yeah. Well, all your relationships have failed. Oh, I didn't hear that.
That's the quiet.
Well, it's all relationships have failed because of lack of communication, right? So, and one other thing, I think another reason we should add, like people shouldn't crap on anonymous posts because that is also an opportunity for them in some ways.
Yeah.
Some of them are asking for help. Like maybe they don't understand something. And that's a good way for people to chime in with like, okay, well, this is common because, or maybe you're not understanding something about the game. So often I see people chime in with like the wrong, like really bad answers. Like, well, this is club and you shouldn't be expecting. And like they're 14. I'm like, shut up, stop acting like this is the Olympics. I'm sorry. It's a rec volleyball. It's competitive, but it's not that competitive. And you're still developing people, not trying to chase medals. The medals take care of themselves when you start developing the people. I'm sorry. I just say that again. It's for the 80th time on the show.
Yeah. If we all communicated better, the internet would be a different place. Like imagine that. That movie you mentioned where like they couldn't lie. They're not allowed to lie until one person discovered
the invention of lying.
Well, imagine the internet like was a place of like respectful communication. It would be an absolutely different place.
Yep.
Right. And now the internet communication, that method is seeping into our in-person communication.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's not a good feedback loop. I haven't used that in a while.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. You should keep using it. I hope I didn't scare you away from that.
Oh, well, you were pretty mean to me this whole show. So
now you're never going to
I
mention
may not
Super
come back.
Tramp or feedback loops. We never heard about the watch either. Sleep watch. Remember that? The sleep watch.
Oh, yeah.
You're getting angry about
No, I'm not getting...
Sorry.
I still don't agree with what you're saying.
I know that tech. Yeah, tech is the problem. But anyway,
sounded like Christopher Walken there.
Tech is the problem. I can't do it right now. It's too much pressure.
There's a little raspiness though. Tech is the problem. Yeah, I can't. I haven't seen. Yeah.
Tech is the
How old
problem.
is that guy now, man?
I don't know. He's still alive though.
Dang.
Anyway,
Well, I
speaking
hope
of
he
alive, we're an hour and 14 minutes in. So, folks, if you're posting anonymously, that's okay. Let's let them post anonymously. Yeah, they're worried about genuine consequences.
Yeah, take it as an opportunity to prove the internet wrong and just be a nice person.
Prove the internet wrong.
Well, yeah, just like communicate nicely and.
Oh yes.
You know, I guess I don't know. I haven't done it in a while, but getting self-worth value out of like pointing out how stupid someone is. I don't know. I can't do it because whenever I just immediately before I feel bad before the words even come out. Well, I don't even think about it, but it's just.
Yeah. Hopefully your post isn't hateful or disrespectful, but I think a lot of them aren't. Sometimes starting with a compliment is a good way, like I did with Eric.
Oh yeah,
earlier.
That helps.
I did it in reverse.
Yeah.
I humiliated you with a super.
Put him down first, and
then I tried to fix it later. And you spotted it instantly. What I should have done is like said, "Hey, I like your shirt. Do you know Super Tramp's not a friggin' super band?"
Well, we'll find out next episode.
What? We already found out this episode.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
No, we didn't.
That ship has sailed, my friend. It's raining again. That's another song. You don't know that though. That's a Super Tramp song.
Man.
Nope, that's the wrong song.
What's the big idea?